Hello, all you beautiful people out there. What is going on? This is your friend Britik coming at you fast with an interview. Today, I will be interviewing Undying's Game's very own John, known also as UG Bacon at one point. Right now, he's known as Johnny Boy, so we're just going to call him John for the duration of this interview. And he's going to answer some questions that I have and that my Twitch chat has about Ethereal and kind of what has been going on, what kind of updates can we expect to hear about as of right now, what has changed, because it's been a while since I've had an interview. I think last time I interviewed Luke, we went over an updated map. Today, I don't have any gameplay or map to show you, as Undying Games is not quite ready to really show anything like that, but I do have the pleasure of talking to John. John, how are you doing?
Good, Britik. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing fantastic. I'm ready to get into this. So
Oh, so am I. Awesome.
tell me more about who you are and what you do at Undying Games.
Yeah, well, you put it pretty brilliantly yourself. I'm John. As you've said, I'm marketing director for Undying Games. I've been involved with the project for about a year, just over a year. I didn't start off as marketing director. I started off as a GDA, which is a game development analyst, and then I just sort of moved my way up, you could say, as I worked a lot of the project. I kind of found my strengths and found my weaknesses, and I was definitely leaning towards the more business marketing side of the project. And here I am, doing the interview with you, ready to be questioned.
Great. Well, I got a couple of general questions here just to catch up everyone, to get everyone up to speed in case they've been missing the ethereal news and coverage on my channel, because I know a lot of it is old. So the first question, just for starters, I wanted to ask, in general, what is ethereal? Who is making it? And then how many people are involved?
Okay, so so that's a good question. Okay, so Ethereal is a third-person MOBA. It was inspired by multiple genres such as Final Fantasy, Halo 3, Dark Souls, and many others. And the main vision that we had was that we were trying to involve the normal MOBA genre by making it more interactive and fun to play with for the public. This project, I believe, began with 5 people. Okay, so it began with Owen and Kai, and then Luke, and then we have 2 other people, Captain Texas, Crash. So these guys were 5 hometown friends, and they were all passionate about gaming, and they really wanted to create something special. They came together, and we now have over 50, I believe over 50, might be even over 60 people working on the project. We were founded in Texas, and we are an LLC company. So it just shows you how determined and how far these guys have come, from 5 people to over 60 people within the space of about a year and a half, nearly up to 2 years. So it's impressive stuff, to say the least.
So we have UG Owen in the Twitch chat right now. He wanted to correct you. He said exactly 56 people.
56 people, yeah.
Okay. And
56 people.
and
It's
and
crazy.
just real quick, so why is it important that you guys are an LLC?
Well, we wanted to establish ourselves as a proper company before we wanted to introduce our game to people, because as a company we have to establish ourselves to the community, and we have to make sure that we are, I suppose, trustworthy and reliable. We didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to be put in a bracket where we were, oh, a group of friends creating a game. Oh, here we go. Here we go again. This whole sort of toxic cycle that happened after Paragon's death. It
Yeah.
was, like it don't. It was great that people were inspired to create something good from something bad, and it was great that lots of kids and lots of high school students were saying, okay, I'm gonna do something with these assets. I'm gonna create something, and it caused a spark in people to be creative. But at the same time, it was a toxic cycle. People were being promised a lot from various different aspects of unreliable sources. So we wanted to establish ourselves as a reliable source so that we could present our game in a more professional manner to people. So of course, then we decided to become a company, and we are based in Texas. That's where our main headquarters is.
I feel like feel like that was a sneaky way of firing shots, but that was a great answer nonetheless. And we're gonna move on to my next question here. Okay, so when did Undying Games start working on Ethereal? Are the individual salaried, or is everyone a volunteer? And just in general, how experienced are the members? This is your time to really flex on everyone.
Okay, so I guess I'll start from so Undying Games. I'm sure Owen's going to correct me on this, but I believe the project has been I'm 100% it's been working for over a year and a half. I'm 100% certain on that. It was about maybe 6 months in when I joined into the project. Very early stages. In terms of our team, I can't say too much because of NDA, but we've got Marvel artists, people like artists who've worked on Marvel. We've got various programmers. We've got programmers who've done voice lines for League, all that good stuff. Like our team is very capable of creating this game, and that was a main concern for a lot of people, is that this game was very ambitious. Nobody had ever done it before, and a lot of people were being questioned in our team. How are these guys going to pull it off? Like they're an indie company. But I just want to reassure everyone that we're more than capable of producing a game of this scale. In terms of volunteers, I don't know the exact number. I myself I'm a volunteer. Some people are full time. Like people such as programmers, a few effects artists, stuff that requires a lot of skill and stuff that isn't easy to do and it's very time consuming.
So they
They
are getting paid.
Oh yeah, they are getting some people in the project. They're getting paid, and deservingly so. Like the work they're doing is amazing.
And of course, the
There's
voice
no
actors are also being commissioned and paid.
Yeah, everything's being completely regulated.
And this is all out of pocket.
Out of yeah, so out of out of our founders' pockets, it's not being funded by a third party. We are looking for sponsorship and we are looking for capital investment, but we have to produce something in order to obtain that. We have to, have a working prototype basically, which we are going to be starting internal testing very soon within the company. So that's always a good sign. And once we are happy that it's at a certain standard, we can definitely look for, more investment if need be. But at the minute, it's all being back pocketed by Owen and Kai.
Huh, wow. Very, very impressive.
Yeah, it's admirable. It's to say the word. It's just
Ambitious.
purely driven, ambitious. Yes, it's just driven by passion,
And I
really.
think if there was one word to describe Ethereal as a whole, it is ambitious.
Yeah, it's ambitious to say the least. Um, and there's definitely a fine line between ambition and insanity. And I think we've got the right balance. Because you have to be insane to do something like this, but you also have to be skilled, and we've got both.
And
We're
passion,
insane
for sure.
and oh yeah, passion for sure. That's without a doubt. That's a founding quality you need.
All right, all right. Going well so far. We got our next question here. Now this, I don't know how specifically you'll be able to answer this question, but this has been on the back of my mind for a while now. How has the map changed since we have last seen it?
So, if you could, when was the last time you saw the map?
The last
Just to
time
have,
we saw it was when there was that update, the updated map with the verticality. You had the slopes, you had the pedestals on the lanes, right? It was
oh yeah,
definitely
okay.
not as flat as the very initial
Oh
trailer
yeah,
was.
okay, yeah,
So
yeah.
how
I
did it
remember.
grow after that one?
Okay, yeah. So if I remember correctly, we showed off. God, I did this about a year ago,
This
maybe.
was a while ago. This is why I was
Yeah,
waiting so long for it.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, about a year ago, we released the first map prototype. We listened to the community feedback, and then the lanes were too flat and they were too dead, basically. So then we released a second prototype, which you mentioned. The lanes were sort of revamped. There's a bit of verticality added within the lanes. So we've moved on to about phase 5 or 6. Um, the lane and the map itself is very, very advanced compared to what people have seen. It's to say the least. See, a lot of this will be under NDA. Like it's changed about 4 or 5 times. It was from 0 to 100, and we're adapting it every time to improve implementations. It's a very mechanical based mobile Ethereal. Like they're every single day there's 3 to 4 level designers working on the map, including Owen, who's in the chat. He's part of the map design, and he's part of building up the map. So it's one of the biggest projects within Ethereal that we're working on at the minute.
Wow. Okay. 4 or 5 different times, huh? So you guys are taking
Yeah,
some sort of perfectionist mentality.
yeah. As I said, yeah, it was yeah, like you've seen phase 2, like we're on phase 5, phase 6 at the minute. It's insane. I'm blown
Okay.
away with it, but yeah, it's very exciting.
That is an exciting bit to hear. I'm glad that you guys
Yeah,
are being so meticulous with it and are not just relaxing, not just resting on your laurels.
no, no, no. The map is because when you think about it, like the map is what makes this project so ambitious. Everything ties in within the map. So how the game is going to play out and how different mechanics are going to work and strategies, etc. Everything relies on the map. Basically, the map is what's going to give Ethereal its overall amazing edge. So we really want to make it perfect, to say the least.
And speaking of perfect, the next question addresses perfection, which is these voice lines. These voice lines are incredible. And like you said earlier, you have people under NDA, so you can't really say who they are, but you have people who worked at Marvel. You said they worked at League of Legends, right?
So the voice lines themselves are insane, to say the least. They're stunning. Um, the if you could reiterate, what was the main concern that you had for the voice
So
lines?
I just wanted to clarify. You said earlier that the voice actors they worked on Marvel projects, they worked on League of Legends projects, right? Is that correct?
The staff, not the voice actors.
Oh,
So
okay,
the
I see.
Ethereal staff worked on. So we have a few Marvel artists, and then a few of the people who are working in Ethereal have worked for Riot, like on League of Legends, basically for voice lines. If
I
that
see.
makes
I see. I see.
Yeah,
So there's
but
no.
but we have some. We no, we our voice. Some of our voice actors. I can't say for NDA, but some of our voice actors are like very well known within the gaming community. We have some upcoming ones as well that are really well known and are really elite, like elite veterans of the voice acting
Okay, I
community.
was
So
going to ask that. Yeah, because they sound
yeah,
very, very professional. And
yeah, sure.
as much as I love how they sound, will there be an option to turn them off in the game?
Yes, there will be something to turn the voice lines off. Absolutely. Um, our team sort of cares about giving people the option to choose what they want. Um, like Tricolor's our main. He's our voice guy basically. He's the voice director, and he's very good at what he does, to say the least. But yes, there will be. Of course, there'll be an option to turn them off if you don't want them on.
Right, because sometimes you want to, if you're playing ranked or you're in a very competitive game, you
Of
want to be
course,
able
yeah,
to use your audio for other things than just
yeah,
listening to
yeah,
some jokes.
yeah. No, of course,
Okay,
definitely.
okay, that's just important to me from a competitive standpoint. Um,
Yeah, you're a competitive gamer, so it's understandable.
for sure. Okay, next question that I want to ask is I mean, you already kind of answered this. The next question I had lined up here was, is there something wrong, or is there something not wrong? Is there something working internally, even though you're not ready to show it? Like working as in playable. And you alluded that there is closed testing going on behind the scenes. So obviously there has to be something playable.
Yeah. Okay. So we're getting into good stuff now. So we have most of our coding and our heavy duty stuff is ready. From the back end of programming to the front end of programming. The main reason we don't show anything yet is because of high expectations. Owen's definitely a perfectionist, to say the least, which isn't a bad thing. But at the same time, the community has very high standards for this project, and we have to meet those standards basically. With a project this scale, the standard has to sort of be directly proportional to that scale, if that makes sense. With a project this ambitious, you can't really release something subpar because it's too big to be subpar. So even if you
Right.
only have a few bugs within, we'll say beta, it's still gonna look massively unfinished because of how large and how big of a project it actually is. So even though it's pre-alpha, we want to make sure that we deliver the quality as developers. We will be doing internal playtesting, and as developers, if we feel like it's not up to standard, we're not going to make it public. Um, we're like everything is done from scratch. You know, like we've received no, like we're not using Paragon assets or capital investment or third party investment. You know, everything is done from your concept art, the 3D modeling to the lore. You know, everything is just done from
Yeah,
scratch.
everything is original.
Yeah, pretty much. Um, but as I said before, like we've got a very advanced team, a very professional team. So all of the heavy gritty stuff is pretty much done. The stuff that takes time would be the texturing, the animation, the voice, the voice pack, the SFX programming. Um, that's just sort of everything that you have to get perfect before you release an alpha.
Right, right, right.
Um, so it's like we want to release something within 2019, but we're not rushing anything. I remember in your last video you said that you were expecting something within 6 months, or expecting to see a gameplay trailer.
I was
Correct me if
expecting
I'm wrong.
I was expecting to see a trailer. I don't know if I meant gameplay as in like actual
Hmm.
gameplay, but like a trailer of some
Yeah,
sort.
and I'm going to comment on that. All I'll say about that, Britik, is it's not unrealistic. Like what you said isn't unrealistic. I'm definitely not promising anything from Undying Games, but like it's not unrealistic. You know, it's very it's in our sight. You know, and we're getting closer to it every single day. So be excited because good like big things are coming, and it's definitely not unrealistic. I'm excited, but we won't be releasing anything until the game is enjoyable and it is at a playable stage.
You know what we say in my stream when we hear good news like that?
What do you say?
GG's only.
GG, well
GG's
played.
only. That's
GG's
what I
well
like
played.
to hear. You love to hear it. All right,
Yeah.
great, great, great news. I wasn't expecting that at all. Fantastic. Thanks for dropping that little gem in there. All
No
right,
worries.
next meme. No, I'm just kidding. Next question here. In general, this is a very general question now. What
Hmm.
is your goal with this game?
Okay, so
What are you trying to do? Are you trying to be the next Riot Games? Are you trying to just create and innovate something brand new like how Valve did with Half-Life? What are you trying to do?
I suppose as a company we're trying to bring MOBAs to a whole different level. We want to have we want to have an interactive game with a great strategy, an amazing story, new ways to develop your characters, new ways to develop your own, personal story within the game. Um, we want to break this perception that people have for MOBAs, which is a typical, 5v5 lane, top mid bot lane, which is why we have the vertical lane. So everything about the game is fun and enjoyable, and at the same time, like it refreshes the stagnant MOBA genre, which is definitely present. Like League and Dota have been out for what, 10 years? I'm gonna say 10 years,
Yeah, 10 years. League just had its 10-year anniversary.
10 year anniversary, and Dota is longer, maybe
Yeah.
11,
Yeah,
11 years,
yeah.
11 years. Like that's a long time, and like don't like both of them games are absolutely like they're
And I don't
legends,
and I don't mean to compare you to such behemoths, but they started
Mm.
somewhere too. So it's
Yeah,
not like they
exactly.
just woke up one day and they were the most popular MOBAs in the planet. Like they started somewhere as well, which is why you have short-term goals, but you also have long-term visions. So like
Exactly.
in an elevator pitch, you would say that the long-term vision of Ethereal is to change the way people perceive MOBAs.
100%. Yes, long-term vision. Yeah. Completely just revamp the MOBA genre because like we've got a good thing going. Um, and 10, 11 years is a long time to be playing the same sort of strategy game. Like it gets stagnant and we want to completely change that. Like people aren't ready. Like even we as developers, like it's scary releasing something that has the potential to be huge. It's exciting, but it's scary at the same time. Like nobody has ever done what we're doing before, and it has an element of being exciting, but it also has an element of being terrifying because you don't know what's going to happen. Um, like in terms of short term goals, like that's all well and good. Like you get your programming right, you get your textures right. You put your head down, you put in the work, but at the same time, like you're still releasing something that's that's completely up to the public
Right, and you
if
have
they're
no
gonna
idea
like it
how
or
they're
if they're
going to
gonna hate it.
react.
Yeah, we've no idea how they're gonna react, which is terrifying, but it's exciting at the same time. Like you,
Well,
like you,
just
like
keep your head down and keep grinding. I know a lot of people are
pretty
believe in
much,
you
yeah,
guys. I believe in you guys, and I can't wait to see what you guys are able to pull off.
yeah.
With
It's exciting. It's really exciting.
I have a couple more questions, and then I'll open it up to the chat here. This is
Yeah, please.
these next two questions are popular questions for sure. So this next one is, will it come to console?
It will come to console, but I'm gonna set sort of a realistic lid on this. I don't, me personally, I don't see Ethereal coming to console within the next 2 years at least, because we have to get alpha out and we have to get beta out and we have to make sure everything runs smoothly on PC before we can release it onto console. Console is definitely going to happen. Without a doubt, it is going to happen, but it has to be running smooth on PC. We have to build up a solid, active community on PC before we can release it to console. And the reason that being is because console is very, especially Sony, it's very difficult to sort of partner up with them, Sony especially, uh, in terms of licensing and how to market the game onto their platform. Um, Microsoft isn't too bad because Microsoft is PC basically. Most PCs run off Windows.
Right.
But console like is definitely within the works. But for now, we are exclusively PC for now. Obviously, if things hopefully if things go to plan, it's 100% will be on console.
And I appreciate the fact that you're so honest and that you're not trying to get people's hopes up too early and saying that yeah, it's gonna take a long time to make sure this game is the best game it possibly can be, and if it takes 2 years, it takes 2 years. And I think that's very important. And even though people are waiting, they're just gonna have to wait some more, because I'd rather wait a bit longer and play something that's gonna be fun for years and years to come than play something right now that I'm gonna get bored of in a week and never touch again. So
Yeah,
I really think that that is the smart move, and I'm glad that you guys are being so transparent about that and so honest about that.
yeah, of course.
Now I saw this question in chat a little earlier, and I want to ask it myself. Um, how is advertisement going to work? Do you guys? I mean, you said you're the marketing manager, correct? So
Marketing director. Yeah.
marketing director, sorry. So
No, it's same thing. No worries.
do you have like an advertisement department? Are you guys going to outsource that? Have you talked about that internally? What's the plan there?
So it's funny actually. We had a meeting. We had a leaders meeting early, about 2 hours ago, So in terms of advertising and marketing, all of that happens after the game is. So after the game is about a month to 2 weeks from being released. That's when we start looking at outsourcing to different companies such as YouTube or Twitch, whatever. We look at content creators basically to outsource the game. My own personal plan that I've developed, and this will actually this will actually involve you as well, Britik, is basically once the game is a month from being completed and or being released from alpha, and now when I say a month, this is like we've been in contact with every department, and every department is confident that they're going to get their stuff out within the month. So once that happens, we're going to basically grab a bunch of content creators together, have a discussion with them. I can't say it on stream because it is going to be a pretty private discussion. It involves a few NDAs that people have to be comfortable signing. We're going to get the content creators and we're going to get the UG staff in together. We're going to have a few games. We're going to make sure that everything is running smoothly. Okay, like we're not going to advertise because it's very dangerous. Excuse me. It's very dangerous advertising a game when it's not completed. Because you're going to end up wasting money
Oh
and
yeah.
you're going to damage your company. You're going to damage your company's reputation. So there's no point advertising a game if, let's just say, the coding isn't done or not. That's too broad. Let's say the voice lines aren't done. There's a few bugs in the game that are that cause the game to be unplayable. It's like
Right.
everything has to be not perfect because that's unfair. Everything doesn't have to be perfect, but everything has to be playable and up to a good enough standard so that if we are going to invest money into advertising, we aren't going to be changing anything dramatically. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff that sort of has to be checked before we can outsource to
So
different people.
so what you're saying is you don't want to do what Epic Games did with Paragon, where you guys launch a game with one map and then decide to completely change the map and then decide to completely change the item system and then never come out with a ranked mode. You guys want to make
Well,
sure that everything that you have a solid foundation, that you have things done first and you know where you're headed before you really start going into the advertisement bit of it.
yeah, because advertising only happens when the internal structure of the company is solid. When people have, like have their deadlines due and like the vision of the game is already created, the maps created, the item systems created, all the core stuff of the game is created. Then you can look into advertising and outsourcing. But in the meantime, you just have to be patient. One of my team members, Pavel, he's amazing, like one of the best people I've ever worked with. Like we've been developing strategies basically, and looking at a few Kickstarters, but we're not going to, release or ask for any of that until the actual project itself is completed to a good enough standard that we can put it out there to be advertised.
And
Because you're
that,
sort of
yeah, because you don't want
destroying
to,
yourself.
exactly, you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's great, and I hope you guys act in the same way that you're speaking on behalf of all of Undying Games right now. So no pressure, but I hope that you
No pressure.
guys, I hope that you guys do act like you say you will, because that is the right way to act. And no matter how many people complain and how many people become impatient and say that they want something right now, you have to hold your ground and make sure, because you got to think about this long term. You really do have to think about this long term, and I'm glad that you guys again are emphasizing
Yeah,
this so much.
it's just this isn't a short-term project. This is a like we don't like we as you said we have short-term goals, we have long-term goals as well. But we're always or as marketing as being in the marketing department, you're always thinking about the short and the long terms equally. So like it's very important that this project does have a 4 to 5 year future and beyond that then, after the 5 year
Yeah.
mark, whatever.
Well,
Forever, infinity and beyond.
yeah. Cheers to that. I can drink to
Yeah.
that. So,
GG's in the chat.
GG's only. Okay, so now it is time to open up to the chat for some questions. Chat has been constantly asking questions while I have been
Please,
interviewing
yeah,
you. I have
please, please.
tried really hard not to get distracted by the questions.
Yeah,
Um,
ask away.
but so I guess praise Corvus asks how easy will it be for me to get invested in the lore, but I'll actually answer that one for you. Their website's already up and they have a ton of lore already on the website, and I think it's already getting real deep. Like they have pages and pages of lore already set up.
Yeah, hey praise. It's as you said, Britik, like definitely go check out our website. Our lore department is probably one of the coolest things I've ever read. Um, it's like reading a mini book. You can get lost in it. It's really cool. Each characters have their own different realms and different classes and backstories, etc., etc. Just go check out our website. It's all there. It's all there
Undyinggames.com.
on dyinggames.com.
Another question here. So, Reviri, I think that's how you say it. Reviri TV or Rivieri TV asks, will you have different tiers of founder packs? And just in general, you guys said you're thinking of Kickstarters, but not right now until you have something to show. But in general, when the game launches in its first playable state, have you talked about it? Will it be completely free to play? Will there be something like Paragon's founders packs? And if so, how many tiers?
Okay, yeah. So it's funny actually. Pavel's the teammate I was talking about earlier. We probably worked on this for about 2 months, like this alone, this Kickstarter. In terms of the pre-alpha slash alpha, that will be basically paid, like so paid access. Beta and beyond that will be 100% free. There will be different levels to the alpha. The pre-alpha itself, we haven't fully decided, but it is likely to be one standard price, and then after that, there will be tiers. Different tiers you can access. Within the tiers, we're still structuring them, but like if you're to look at just say like hypothetically, like if you're to look at a more expensive tier, you'd be looking at like extra skins, extra like exclusive skins, extra cosmetic items. We are passionate about our game not being pay to win, um, especially like all that mastery stuff that was in Paragon where you could buy your masteries and stuff. We're not about that. We kind of want our community to work towards their goals in the game. But there will be different structures and different tiers that you can purchase.
And I'm assuming that when let's say you want to upgrade, you love the game so much, when you have the basic tier, you want to upgrade to the next tier, you'll still get all the goodies, all the bonuses that come with that extra upgrade, right?
Yeah, so like there will be like skin packs and stuff like that, like Smite or League, where you can save money if you buy the skin pack, you get all the skins and future skins in the game. It's all very fairly priced. It's just right now we have to wait for the game to be market friendly until we can
Of
announce this
course.
stuff
Sure.
because we can't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just reading off the questions. I know
Oh no, no,
some of them
yeah,
might be difficult
100%.
to answer, but
Yeah, no, I'll
but
try and answer best I can.
let's move on. Someone asked, there's a lot of talking going on about multiple maps. Are there going to be more than one map, and will there be multiple game modes then, if that's the case?
There will be. That's it. So for alpha, we're only going to release one map, which is Oblivion, which is our main map, which is the 6v6 game mode. Once we release that map, other maps or other game modes are in the works. I can't talk too much about them because I don't want to spoil anything. They're pretty cool. Um, they are completely different environments, completely different settings. So we're really excited to show
Well,
it off to people.
I'm gonna make this part a little harder for you. I remember like a year ago when I interviewed with Luke, he showed me some map footage, and there were different maps. There was the main map that you guys show the most with the river and the portals and the jump pads to the flying lanes. But there's also some other maps where, for example, one was kind of like in this like Egyptian zone with a giant lake, and he said that there's going to be like a monster in that giant lake. And then there's another map that looked like a giant floating arena. It had like dragons flying all around it, and it looked really big. And he said that that might be a map for maybe more than 6v6, maybe bigger than that. Are you able to comment on any of that?
Okay, so I'll say this. That was a year, so a lot has changed since your interview with Luke. Um, I'll clear a lot of things up. So when we release the pre-alpha, the only map in the pre-alpha will be Oblivion because it's such a large project. Okay, once we've established ourselves, and we're happy with the quality of Oblivion, there will be there will be a dual map. Yeah, I'm pretty confident to say that. A 1v1, I should say. A 1v1 map. It's gonna be. You got me really. It's nice hard questions. um, the desert map that you saw, I won't comment on that because that's still in progress. Okay, that's still in the works. Um, we haven't actually decided what we want to use that for yet. Um, in terms of having more than 6v6, I'm not sure if that's. I'm not a coding guy, but I'm pretty sure. Like a main thing I kind of wanted to make sure about Ethereal that it was PC friendly because a lot of people can't afford, a 280 Ti or 1080 Ti or really expensive graphic cards, and we want to make it like we want to make sure that the net code was user friendly and that people could play the game on a variety of PC settings. Um, that's all I'll say about that map. But
Okay.
you can definitely expect more game modes within the future. But for now, we're only focusing mainly on Oblivion because it is a large scale project.
All right. All
It's
right. Sounds good. Yeah. And speaking of Oblivion, Owen's in chat here. He said apparently it's not called Oblivion anymore, but the new name cannot be revealed right now anyway. So we could just use that as a code name, as the
that's what
six
that's yeah
6v6 map, Oblivion 6v6, the main map, right? 6v6 map.
6v6
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So let's have a couple more questions from the chat. Really good questions here, guys. Really good questions. Do we have a date for pre-alpha? I think that's a pretty easy no, correct?
For now, no, we don't have a solid date. It's definitely looking looking good. In terms of our planned date, which I won't say because things can change, but we don't have an official date at the minute. No.
No official date. Do you guys have like a ballpark that you're aiming for?
So we do. It would be nice to get the game out within near the end of 2019 or start of 2020, but like 2019 is the goal. But we don't want to rush anything.
Yeah, you don't
Uh,
want to box yourselves into a corner by saying something.
no, yeah. So for now,
Gotcha.
just keep your keep your spectrum broad, I should say. Like it's not unrealistic to say that it would be coming out in 2019, but at the same time, I don't want to make any promises.
So, um, this is just a real quick answer. Just answer with the number. How many myths do you guys have right now?
For pre-alpha,
Well, just like how many have you revealed so far? Or yeah, how many do you plan for pre-alpha?
so for pre-alpha, Owen will probably correct me on this. I believe it's see this number's kind of been changed a lot.
He's saying 14. He's saying
14,
14.
yeah,
Okay.
14 is the one we're kind of aiming for.
Okay, and that's all you have to say about that because
Yeah.
there's a very interesting long question. So Zwiffo asks with this, and it's also there's another question from Revere TV that's pretty similar. So with this game being a 6v6 third-person MOBA, how will the individual roles and classes be important? His main concern or her main concern is that there's only 6 players on each team, but there's 8 classes. So how would you assign those classes? My personal understanding is that you have the Sky Slayers, which are like your Sky Junglers, and then you have your Land Junglers, aka like the Reapers or the Berserkers, and you can kind of just use either or for versatility. But Revere's question, the reason I bring him into this as well is because he asks, will there kind of be a chance to play a hybrid character where, like you would play a tank, but you'd still be able to build damage on that tank and do well? Or like a knight, for example. Sorry, I should use like knight, for example. So.
Okay, so what you're talking about there is meta, really. Like that's sort of what they're asking, isn't it? Just to confirm, like they're kind of
Yeah,
asking
I
what
mean,
would
in
the
general, yeah. Like, how would
yeah
you space those roles out on a 6v6 team? Yeah.
yeah. So like that's one of the exciting things about this project because in terms of like that's a pretty hard question to answer because the player creates the meta. So if I
Right.
say something like that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen because the meta is constantly changing. Like when we release this game to the public, like the players are going to decide their own meta, and the good players, i.e. the pros or whatever, the future pros of this game are going to sort of refine the meta and see what works and see what doesn't work. Like there will be an item that can essentially, like if people find that like Sky Slayers being able to fly or whatever is OP, like there will be an item in the game that like sort of balances it out. We have a GDA team comprised of former pros, former Dota pros. So like that's being all reworked and revamped under their watch. So like in terms of balance and meta, we have that under wraps because we have pros basically that are making sure that it is all balanced. But it is a hard one to comment on because the player does sort of make up the meta. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Um, like like naturally, like you can build whatever you want on a character. You know what I mean? Like it's up to you. Like
But but just like
it's your freedom.
just like just but in I guess my question is it possible, this is my personal question because I just thought of
Mm.
it. Is it possible to have 6 Sky Slayers on one team if you'd like?
If you'd like, I mean, oh, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah, so like you can pick whatever class you want. Like one person doesn't have to be a Sky Slayer, and one person doesn't have to be a Berserker. Is
Okay.
that what you're
So
asking?
you can have 6, like just 6 Sky Slayers.
Yeah, like it's
There's
completely
6
up to the
people who can
player.
fly and that's it.
Yeah, like it's completely up to the player. Complete freedom.
Okay. You got Flight of the
I like
Valkyries going on.
because it would just be very like it would cause like toxic gameplay among members. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
people, oh, I don't want to be a Sky Slayer. I'm going to dodge, or you know what I mean? Like it would, like if you don't give people the freedom to be what they want to be within the game, then it's just counterintuitive, you know, and it's not going to create a healthy gameplay environment for
So
people.
so then so I guess another good question here by Rayleos is they ask, so with this, it basically confirms that some myths are going to have mixed scaling so that they're not only going to be focused on physical damage, that they can also scale with like magic damage, for example. So they're not just going to be auto attack machines. They also have a possibility to just deal a lot of ability damage as well. Is that going to be something possible? Will you build for that, or is it kind of just something that people can do with the items, even though it might not be the most effective?
So, like, are you asking if like an auto attack character could still do
Yeah, yeah,
high
exactly,
ability damage?
exactly.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, it like again, it depends on what the player builds. You know, like if there's an auto attack character, and this is hypothetical, just if there's an auto attack character with like I don't know, like maybe like a one range. Okay, let's just say a jump. Okay, like let's just say he has a jump, and like the jump does damage on landing. Like if you build all ability based items, it's going to scale up with your power level within the game, and that's going to essentially then affect your auto attack because characters are going to have auto attack progression. But naturally, it's going to scale up with your abilities because you're building power, and abilities work off power. You know, it all depends on how you build the game. But obviously, like if you're going to build that way, you're not going to be utilizing the character to its full potential. Because if it's an auto attack character, like you'd want to be building auto attack items, not ability based items. So you know, it all comes down to how the player wants to build. But like everything scales in proportion um, to item and ability values. You know what I mean? Like everything is scaled.
Right, but at the same time, you also don't want knights doing more damage than Or like for example, you don't want clerics doing more damage than marksmen because that's not, that's kind of
No,
not
yeah,
what they're
but
supposed to do.
yeah, but clerics are scaled lower than marksmen. So like a marksman at level 1 would be doing more damage than a cleric at level 1. Does that make sense?
And just like a knight will have more health at level 1 than a marksman would have
Yeah,
at level 1.
yeah. Everything
Okay.
is scaled in proportion to the stats of each like character. It's all like it's all done through like our coding. Like everything is mathematically scaled to proportion. So that if a knight, okay, let's just say like a knight has whatever 200 HP, or like so a level 1 knight starts off at 800 HP. Like a level 1 marksman's going to start off with whatever 600 HP, let's just say.
Okay.
And then but then the marksman might have whatever 20 damage, whereas the knight might have 10 damage. You know what I mean? And
Right.
then just say
Okay.
if the knight,
So that's
it all
that's
depends.
pretty typical scaling then.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Cool. Here's a question from Abudka20. They ask, "What about the tutorial at the beginning of the game? We need a good tutorial to teach newcomers to MOBAs to maybe help curb toxicity issues." What do you think about that?
Yes. So we're going to be posting videos on our website once the alpha, well, once we have actually, that's a good question, because we haven't decided if we're going to do it before or after we release the alpha. Our tutorial videos are going to be in our Discord server, and our website. So definitely keep an eye on those two, especially our website, because we're going to be updated. We're going to be updating that constantly, and that's definitely going to have our tutorial videos on there, because like even for the most experienced mobile players now, like they're gonna like this is a whole new game, British. Even though it's classified as a MOBA, like this is a whole this isn't the
Oh yeah, that's why everyone's so excited.
yeah so definitely we're gonna definitely have tutorial videos up on our
No, and
website.
tutorial videos are great, but I think that an in-game tutorial is also very important. I think that's also important, and I'm not saying do that pre-alpha, but I'm just saying like in general, having a tutorial before you get your feet wet, even with a bot game, is very important. Just like how League does it, how
Well,
Smite does it.
I'll let you in a secret, British, because this is like a strategy like I've sort of developed. Like we're gonna get the content creators in before anyone else, and like it's then like ye can, once you're comfortable with the game, like you have the complete freedom to give your community a tutorial video. You yourself, like once you've sort of played the game, and like once you've you know looked at our tutorial videos, like you can definitely create your own tutorial video for your audience and say, listen guys, this is how I want to play the game, this is how I recommend you play the game. And that's the beauty of you know reaching out to content creators. Like you have the ability to do that, um, sort of self-create your own tutorials. Um, but all I can say on that is that we will have tutorials on our website. In terms of in-game tutorials, like it's definitely something I can see happening. But like you have the freedom to do that, and it's really just exciting because it allows everyone to sort of collaborate within the game. Like even the developers are going to have to learn a brand new game. You know what I mean?
That's good for sure.
Yeah.
One more question here. Prometheus asks, this is a kind of like a 2-in-1. So, are toxic players? Is there going to be some sort of punishment or reporting system for toxic players? And just talk about the rank system. Just talk about a ranked mode, just like a little bit, like I don't, just a bit. Like it's okay. You don't have to do a lot. Just what's the ranked mode going to be like? What is your goal with that? How important is ranked to Undying Games?
Okay, so we started with the toxic players first.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so like it's gonna be like pretty hefty. Like what we do have a friendly game environment policy. Like I'm not gonna sort of feed everyone lies and say that like, oh, when you report somebody, they'll definitely justice will be served. Like there's always gonna be people in every single aspect of life, be it within a game or or outside a game, that are going to be toxic. We are going to try our best to balance it out, but at the same time, like there is going to be toxic people within the game. Um, and in terms of ranked, we do want to have a competitive community. Um, we have a ranked mode in the works. It's not going to be released when we release the alpha, It's going to be released pretty soon after the alpha, hopefully, if things go to plan. But we want to get people. We don't want to release a rank mode at the minute because it's such a new game and such a new environment that people are going to have to spend a few months learning the meta and creating the meta, because it's going to be a brand new meta. And once there's a meta established, we can definitely implement a competitive game mode.
So, like based off that, when it comes to balancing, will you balance around the highest of competition, like, you know, because there's different metas and different ranks, as you're well aware. So will you balance around the more competitive players, or will you balance around more of the casual players?
The more competitive players, typically. The reason being, the higher you go, the more competitive it should be. It wouldn't sort of make, because it wouldn't motivate people to play ranked if we were balancing the game around, you know, casual players. Like the meta itself has to be balanced around the top level of play, with the best players leading the meta, basically. But of course, it's all based on feedback as well. So, like, if a group of 20 players, for instance, like the pros are sort of defining what the meta is, and then the rest of the community isn't happy with it, we'll look into that and we'll sort of see if we can cater to the majority of the community. But typically, in most MOBA genres, it's balanced towards the most competitive of plays, basically. And it's how it should be.
Yeah, and I agree. Um, all right. Well, that was a lot of questions answered for sure. Um, one last thing, because this is now piquing my own personal interest, and I'm seeing chat talk a lot about jungles, because there are the Sky Slayers, and you're gonna have camps in the sky. So can you just kind of describe how the jungle's gonna work in this game?
Okay. So the main jungles are the Sky Slayers and the Reapers, basically. It was actually, you made a good point. It sort of links in with your point earlier. Sort of like, you know, anyone can play whatever they want, but you, at the same time, you would be putting yourself at a significant disadvantage if you didn't have a Sky Slayer on your team, because there is going to be a jungle in the sky that the Sky Slayer can, you know, farm. Now, even if you don't have a Sky Slayer on your team, there's an item in the game that sort of allows people to compensate for that. There's various advantages to each class. So Sky Slayers can fly, Reapers can do parkour, all that good stuff. It's all on our website.
Right, right.
So like, again, like, I hate to be giving you the same answer, but like the jungle just links back to meta. You know what I mean? Like, I don't.
Well, no, I don't mean like, I'm just meaning like the layout. Like how will that work? Is there a jungle on near next to the bottom lane, and then just Sky Slayer stuff mid lane and top lane?
Okay, yeah. So like each lane, like each lane can be has its own unique environment, basically, and each lane has its own unique camps and different attributes. You know, like it has various camps. The Sky itself, like the Sky Slayers itself, has the Sky has its own jungle camps. Each lane has its own jungle camps, world bosses, etc. That can all be farmed however the meta plays out. But we'll have to see how the meta itself plays out before we can make changes. It's pretty balanced so far from what I've heard from the GDA. It's pretty good in terms of how it all plays out. So that's good to hear. But we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see.
All right, we'll have to wait and see. But by the sounds of it, a lot of good stuff coming in the future. I'm very excited. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your, I think it's the middle of the night there where you are right now in Ireland. So
Yeah, no, that's my pleasure. I don't mind doing stuff like
thank you
this.
so much for taking the time and being at such an awkward time to answer these questions. Really help out the community. Really,
No, no worries, man. My pleasure, my pleasure.
this is
Glad I can
this has been a great chat, and I really appreciate the Twitch chat for coming out and asking a lot of questions as well. And if you guys are
yeah.
a YouTube viewer, please, if you have not already, hit that like button. That just helps with the YouTube algorithm push this video to the surface when people look for more ethereal information. And this is the best kind of information you can possibly get because it's coming straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. I'm not calling John a horse. I'm sure he's a very beautiful person, but that's the old adage there. So
Yeah.
please drop a like if you haven't already. Comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And as always, make sure you have a wonderful day. Peace.